Our charity of the month for August is Mind. Even though 1 in 4 people have mental health problems, most of us don't get the help we need. Mind believes this has to change. They fight for mental health, for support, for respect, and for you. They change minds across England and Wales by making mental health an everyday priority, by standing up to the injustices in healthcare, in work, in law, which make life harder for those of us with mental health problems. They support Minds, offering help whenever you might need it through our information, advice, and local services. And they connect minds, bringing together an unstoppable network of individuals and communities, people who care about mental health to make a difference. Please find a link to donate in the description and on our Twitter feed. For every like our YouTube videos get by the end of each month, we will also make a donation to Mind. Surprise, we're back. I know I said that we weren't going to be back this year, but as it says in the description, thanks to so many people, like a surprising number of people reaching out and saying how sad they were that we were packing it up and stuff, and I kind of had both my arms twisted. But we are back, and once again, as you can see, joined by Euan. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. The weather is awful, though. Imagine being teachers, Jack, and having this weather to deal with for 6 weeks.
Mate, it was lovely. Terrible. It was lovely in June when we were still at work. It was fantastic, but this is just. I know.
Our summer now is April to June. That's our summer now.
Yeah, don't tell Rishi Sunak, but global warming is real.
Don't even go there.
Don't
even bloody go there.
Are you enjoying your summer though? Other than the weather, are you?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been all right. I mean, not half as productive as I'd like to have been, but that just seems to be the way it is at the minute. Mind you, I've read it's like this for another 2 weeks. You can guarantee when I'm out the country, that's when it'll all brighten up for you, Jack. So just wait till I'm gone, and you'll have a great time.
You're on holiday when I'm up in Newcastle, aren't you? I think.
Yeah, typically.
Yeah, and it'll be lovely that weekend, won't it? It'll be when you're away.
Yeah, it will be.
It'll be lovely.
It will be. I know. It's typical. Very, very typical. But yeah, so I've got 2 weeks of misery in terms of the weather. So I've got to try and make do as best I can, and then I'm away for a bit. But can't wait for the season. Genuinely can't wait.
Going anywhere nice?
Dubai. I've never been. Somewhere I've never been. It's that Middle Eastern link now. You see.
wrong country.
It is. Do you know what? While I'm away, Newcastle play Manchester City, obviously away from home, so I'm not actually missing it. But it's in Dubai, which is obviously United Arab Emirates, which is obviously links to City. So I'm going to be taking my black and white top and sitting there probably on my own.
I'd wear one of your old ones.
Maybe not.
I'd wear one of your old ones because I don't know what the like the business stuff is over there, but like the you've got like the what was it the Moon?
There's a gambling sponsor on it for starters. Noon is actually very popular in Dubai.
Yeah, and then I don't know what Sela is or Sela is that a Saudi company?
That's I have a feeling it's a Dubai-based company actually, but it works out of Saudi Arabia as well. Basically, it's an events company where have a look into them. They are insane. They set up events which are like new technology, so they use holograms and they project things into the sky. So they use drones to make shapes and things. It could be phenomenal. I think on Champions League nights, if they could get involved somehow, it would be quite special. I've already spoken to Kate as well, and I've said that if there's a chance to go to a seller thing while we're there, I'd love to. So I'm going to keep my eye out.
Yeah, good man. Sounds good. To be fair, I've always wanted to like think about teaching in Dubai because getting over there, getting a bit of a tax-free money for a few years might be quite nice.
It depends on commitments, really, doesn't it? I mean, it'd be lovely, it'd be really nice, and plus you're guaranteed to have nice weather all the time as well. So
yeah, definitely. But so we'll address the obvious elephant in the room. I know we said we said we weren't gonna carry on this year, but that was mostly down to like just personal stuff that's going on. Like, I mean, it's to be fair, I think one of the main reasons was like obviously we worked really hard on this last year, like, and I really enjoyed doing it.
I'm just going to interrupt. Jack works extremely hard on this. I don't want to like underestimate and underplay how much Jack puts into this, and I think a lot of that effort and whatever comes with the podcast is led by Jack in terms of his knowledge and expertise and his effort and his determination to make this work. So when that is a constant cycle, and you've obviously we're both teachers, I know I've been snowed under, so I can't imagine how it's been for him. So I'm speaking on his behalf here, but I don't want him to underplay how much he actually puts into this.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. But yeah, I'll be honest. At the end of last season, as much as I enjoy doing this, like, and I still enjoy doing it. Like, I was the one again pushing today for us to sit down and like record, because I kind of don't want to just sort of throw it away. But also at the end of last season, for obvious reasons, I was fed up with football in general. Like last season, even for you, and where the football went well, it was such a long season, wasn't it? And even then, it doesn't really feel like it stops. Like I felt like there was like 2 weeks, and then everyone was back in for pre-season again. It's just all go.
Exactly.
And
I can't
obviously,
remember how the players would have got time to get time off. It felt like some of them went on international duty and then were back in training. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And obviously the World Cup had a massive impact on the season itself, and that was quite an intense thing for a Winter World Cup, which we'd never experienced before. And
yeah,
there was a lot going on, wasn't there? So,
but it's just like, I mean, I didn't really realize until like probably in COVID, like that football is like a massive part of my like weekly routine and my life and stuff. And then suddenly, like for me to not enjoy it. This is the first team in a long time that I've watched like where I don't feel like they really represent me or like represent where they're from. That's one thing I've always felt about Leicester. And it's just when you spend that much money and when you put in that much effort and heart into something, you just want to see your team perform and play. And when they're not, you don't really get any enjoyment out of it. And then like I've had loads of other stuff sort of go on this year as well. Like Euan knows about some of it and he doesn't know about other things, but like it's just been quite a turbulent sort of last 12 months, to be fair. And then if you add all this on top of that, and then the lack of enjoyment in football and just everything, it all just sort of comes to a head and makes you feel like, not that it's underappreciated, but just that like you feel like kind of what's the point? That's kind of how I felt at the time. And it was just, yeah. But what kind of dawned on me was actually that so many people like obviously we've not got a huge following. I'm not going to sit here and say that like it was loads and loads of people, but like quite a significant number of people, more so than I thought.
Important people to us as well, people whose opinions we value, and people who have given us feedback and contributed and almost kind of helped us adapt and change things we do, and they get involved in the little games we do and things. I think that kind of makes you realise that, well, it certainly made me realise that maybe we kind of help someone's journey pass if they're doing a long drive or if they're in the gym and they hear people talk about stuff that, without any disrespect, the teams that are on TalkSport all the time and spoken about all the time, it gives a little bit more airtime to people who are heavily invested in football generally, because I like to think we're quite knowledgeable about general football matters.
I think as well that I think people like that. Like we do have like a couple of people on who are like have bigger followings. Like obviously we had Barry Pierpoint on here, who's not got a massive following, but he's quite an important person. Like we had Jake on here from Big Strong Leicester Boys, who's like TalkSport. He's got quite a big following individually as well. Like I've spoken to Steve Walsh. Like we've had some people. Like we have a lot of the lads from the Day Trippers podcast, Liverpool. Like they have like quite a big following themselves. Massively. Oh yeah, they're really good guys. And Kev, shout out to Kev actually, because he was one of the main people who I spoke to, who like reached out with everything, and we sort of talking, and we talked through a lot of stuff. But it's more the fact that like I think a lot of the people that we have this really close network with, I think they like the fact that we try to give like just these ordinary people, like ordinary fans, and it's not like we're on this platform and we're trying to put people on a pedestal, put ourselves on one. But I think a lot of people like the fact that we just get people's opinions. Like we just like talking to people about football, like, because not everybody needs to have, even we don't need to have like a fan base or a following. It's just a lot of these people who come on the show with us, they're our friends, and they like having this platform just to talk about it and get it on record. And maybe, somebody listen to them and agree with them, or maybe, give us sort of say, oh, well, I don't agree with that, or I do agree with that. I know that like, it's just something that we enjoy doing. They enjoy doing it. That's all it is for us. It's a bit of fun. And if we get something out of it, then, and other people, more importantly, if other people get something out of it, that's really important to us. And I know that a lot of people, like, I know that I'm not going to name him on here, but somebody did reach out and said that they were having a really difficult day at one point. They were having a really difficult time, and listening to our podcast, one that we did, like really sort of helped them get through it because they really enjoyed it. They loved the fact that what we were doing, and that meant more to me than any number of viewers. Like if that one person gets something out of what we do, then that would mean more to me than getting, I don't know, like 1,000 views or whatever. Like that's not big numbers, but that's kind of why we do it. Like it's this last sort of 6 months for me in particular, like mental health has like really been a huge, it's become like right at the forefront of my mind for many different reasons. And that's why I love doing this, is because it just gives me a chance to vent. It gives me a chance to talk to one of my closest friends every week. And it's like, it's just,
it's a welcome distraction in a lot of ways, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an echo chamber, and it's an echo chamber that I love yelling into most of the time. And yeah, those sort of weeks in the summer, like where I had a lot of downtime. And the problem is when you have a lot of downtime, you have a lot of time to think about things, and sometimes you maybe don't make the best informed decisions. But it's just, yeah, I think the response that we got to saying that we weren't doing it anymore almost inspired me to go, actually, no, do you know what? We've got something good here. I enjoy this. Why am I in this particular mental frame that I was like, mental state of mind I was in at that point? Why am I throwing it away? Not throwing it away because we didn't say we were gone indefinitely, but why am I stopping it when it's something I enjoy? So yeah, we just thought we'd come on and air that, and then maybe just have a catch up about stuff, because we haven't actually spoken in a month. Like, Euan, are you looking forward to the new season, or are you a bit like, actually the pressure's on now?
I think I just remember where we've come from. That's it. I literally just think, do you know what? What would it be now? 18 months ago, we drew at home to Watford, and I felt like you felt like that's it. It's done. We're down, unfortunately. And then we made a few signings who, let's be honest, weren't all inspiring. I mean, obviously Bruno was, but Trippier was as well, you would say. But at the same time, he broke his foot. He was out for the last third of the season. And it just felt like everything was going to go one way. And somehow, miraculously, we managed to come out of it and finish well outside the drop zone. And then, obviously, we had some brilliant signings last summer, which have helped us propel into somewhere we never expected to be. And I will say this as well. I don't expect us to finish top four again. Absolutely not. I really don't think that's likely. I think 6 is probably around about where we'll be. But we'll also have the experience of Champions League. We'll have the opportunity to go again in a cup, which is huge for the fan base. I also think that people saying things like, and this is no disrespect to any clubs I'm going to mention, but a lot of pundits and media people are saying things like, they've not got a big enough squad, the depth's not good enough. I think Villa will be great this year. I think, and this and that, and they're rattling off. And I'm like, well, Villa have got Europa League, and they're going to be playing Thursday, Sunday every year. And Emery takes the European competitions very, very seriously. So he'll probably focus on that. I think with the rumours I'm hearing, because I hear things within the fan base, and because I speak to people within the fan base who know people, we've still got another 3 or 4 signings to make yet. So, and we've sold the player that supposedly frees up the FFP issue. Our wage to turnover ratios come down a lot due to Champions League, due to new sponsors. We've still got 2 sponsors going through the Premier League channels. There is so much room for manoeuvre, and if an opportunity arises, I think we're very opportunistic in that we will go and buy a Bruno or an Isaac if that moment comes. I don't think anybody, and this goes for all clubs, anybody can make a prediction on what's going to happen yet. We said this a few weeks ago, didn't we, Jack? You can't predict the table, really.
No. We did.
The business is done.
Not to plug our own podcast, but yeah, we did that episode where we predicted what's going to happen in the summer, because once all the chips fall into place, then you can start making your predictions, can't you? But then even then, you can't predict for injuries, suspensions, like managerial sackings or managers getting poached or whatever. Like you can't.
Yeah. How can you possibly predict Fulham?
You can have a fair idea, can't you? But
yeah, how can you possibly predict Fulham when Mitrovic might not be there? How can you possibly predict Spurs when Kane might not be there? They might sell Kane and go and buy 2 or 3 players who are of very good quality. There is no way you can make that prediction. And I also think if we were to play Tuesday, Saturday, in terms of the structure of games, we've also got a far bigger midfield depth. We want another right back in Livramento who can cover at left back as well, which Trippier can also do. We've got Matt Targett, who I don't rate, but at the end of the day, he's a Premier League footballer. He should be able to do a job if he needs to. You've got Dan Burn, who can fill in at centre-half. Shah, Botman. Lascelles has seemingly very much improved on the ball. I'd still probably take a decent offer for him. But you've got depth there that people just don't seem to be realising, and people are like, oh, well, they're not that good. Well, yeah, okay, we're probably not on paper, but we are more than the sum of our parts, and that's why we finished fourth last season and got to a cup final. There's no way on paper we would ever be put in the top four. Yet we did.
And even though you had an amazing season, there was kind of a few people towards the end who, not right towards the end, but was sort of saying, "Oh, might they slip up?" Because United were close, like teams were getting closer and closer, and you managed to just claw. And I think that's the thing. I think if you can go in, I think there's a really interesting question that loads of people keep sort of saying, and it's I think it's nonsense, because until somebody fails, you can't really take them away. Like people saying, "Oh, like Eddie Howe isn't like an elite manager," and it's like, well, he's still young in the game, and if you see what he's done this season, if you go and give him better players who we can then coach and improve, like how high is his ceiling? But like, and that's kind of thing, isn't it? You've signed Tonali, you've now signed obviously Barnes as well. You'll probably sign Livramento, you might sign somebody else, but like, what can he do with these players who, like, because he's taken players that were seen as, well, yeah, and they were being poorly coached to suddenly being very good players. And it's like, well, not very good players, but like players with a much better mentality. They were fit, like seriously fit by the end of the season. Like, what's he going to do with players that are already decent players? Is he going to make them better, or is he going to maintain that? Is he just going to make them fit the system? Like, it's almost a different game now for Howe, isn't it? It's like, it's almost like, okay, how do I maintain this? Because I think that's success this season, isn't it? It's not like, because you've already got into the top four, you've already got into the Champions League. It's not, okay, like nobody's now going to say, right, you need to go and win the title or whatever. Now it's, okay, we got to a cup final.
Consolidate.
Yeah, how do we maintain that? Can we get to another cup final? Can we qualify for Europe again? That's kind of where you're at now, isn't it?
And the other thing that's worth mentioning with our squad is it's such a young squad. If you went through our team, you probably wouldn't realise how young some of our players are. Bruno's just turned 25. Botman's 22.
It's like North Sea, yeah, they all look about 45, don't they?
Yeah, it must be that, yeah. Gordon's 22, I think, just turned. Barnes is 25. Like, Livramento, if he comes in, he's 20. You're talking, like, kids in amongst seasoned professionals, like your Callum Wilsons, like your Kieran Trippiers, like your Dan Burns. You've got a nice blend there. And then Elliot Anderson, I don't know if anyone has been watching Newcastle's games over pre-season. He's come back looking unbelievably fit, and I don't know if you've ever seen him with his top off, and I know it sounds a bit strange, but he is built the way a UFC fighter should be. And he's got like a stockiness, a sturdiness about him, and I think he's got 4 goals, 3 assists, and he hasn't even played all the games. Like, he's on fire, and yet people would probably go, well, I don't really know much about him. But the fan base have been aware of him for a little while now. Lewis Miley, 17-year-old, made his debut against Chelsea, came on and hit the bar in the last game of the season at Stamford Bridge. He made a big impression. He's making a huge impression in the squad at the minute. Howe won't loan him out. He wants him involved in the squad. Yet everyone's talking about Kobe Mainoo at Man United, and I get why, because I've actually known about Kobe Mainoo for a few years. I buy and sell football boots. I sold a pair of boots to his agent for him. And I also sold a pair of boots to a Blackburn youth team player called Luke Wiseman. Shout out if he's listening. He doesn't play football anymore. He got released. But when he was young, I said, just out of interest, while we were speaking, I was like, who stands out to you? Who do you think will make it? And he was like, there's a lad at Man United who's a combination of like Pogba and Kante. He was like, you can't deal with him. So you've got clearly very talented players, but I think what gets forgotten about now is we've got a very, very good structure in place, and similar to Brighton, where Dan Ashwood's come in and he's actually got a scout for every single position on the pitch. So he has a recruitment team for right backs. He has a recruitment team for central midfielders. And we're now able to blood players far better. So I'm really, really quite positive about where we're at. I was devastated to lose Maxi though. That was a big, big loss. I'm still not quite over that.
It kind of makes sense. The furore about it, like, and him going to Saudi Arabia, like, did make me laugh a little bit when Chelsea just managed to offload miraculously like 4 or 5 players to Saudi Arabia in 5 weeks, and also you had like other teams like, well, Watford and Udinese is the big one. Like, nobody said anything about those two just moving players between each other.
Salzburg and Leipzig.
Yeah, it's a bit of it. I mean, even Leicester moving players between. Like, we literally, George Hurst, who was a free, like, was released by Sheffield Wednesday.
Sheffield Wednesday, wasn't he?
Yeah, we'd have had to pay like £1 million for him, but instead, like, because we'd had to pay the compensation thing, instead he got signed by Leuven and then on a 1-year contract, and then we signed him the following year. It was like when he turned 23 on the Bosman or whatever it was. But now we've sold him for a few million to Ipswich. So loads of clubs do it. It's just because it's Newcastle and Saudi that suddenly it looks really bad. But yeah, it's.
And I know this was a big debate on Twitter, and there was a lot of uproar about it. St. Maximin between 20 and 30 million is well underpriced. I'm sorry, he's underpriced
in the current market. In the current market,
100%.
Realistically, that's probably about where he is. Like, if we're talking like, I mean, even that's stupid money. But you know what I mean? Like, if we did normalize transfer fees, that's probably about where he would be. But like, in the current market, you'd. I think
How
the thing
can
with
Ruben
him,
Neves with a year left go for 55 million, and Maxi with 3 years left go for 23, rising to 30?
You almost feel like because they kind of were negotiating. I mean, like, without being that, because they kind of were negotiating with themselves. They probably just said, right, let's just drop the fee, because if we do it as a stupid fee, there'll be loads of negative press about it. And he ended up going for like 25, didn't he? So like, but even the thing that got me, like, in terms of transfer fees, if we switch on to Leicester, is like Connor Cody. We signed him for like 7.5. And loads of Leicester fans were like, "Oh, why would we sign him for 7? Everton didn't even want him, and they had an option for 4." And it's like, well, yeah, Everton had him on loan. They paid a £3 million loan fee for him at the start of last season, so that half of that fee's already accounted for. Like, that's just on top to make it official. But I think, like, I don't know who it was, but somebody, and it was a video. Obviously it was a video with that Thogden idiot. He's just like some of the worst shots I've ever seen. But there's somebody on a video with him called George. I don't know who it was. But he said that, like, he thinks Connor Cody's going to be the worst transfer in the Championship this year, and I was like, he's like, in terms of his ability, yes, he's not the best player we'll ever have, but he was
in the Championship. He will dominate.
Yeah, but then it's like, but it's his leadership in that we've been missing. Like, I don't know, and he seems really positive, and like the way him and Maresca, like, an absolute breath of fresh air, you know, because the way they talk about the club compared to some of the players that we had last year, and like the way that Rodgers was talking about the club, like, literally at the start of last season, he said, "Oh, this club is not what it once was," and you're like, "Hang on a minute, you're the manager." Like, I'd have sacked him for that alone if it were me. But anyway, just the way they're coming out and talking about the club, it's like they're actually saying, "This is a big club. We shouldn't really be here. Like, we're one of the bigger clubs in the Championship. We're going to be a scout for other teams." Like, they're literally bigging us up, and that's what you want to hear. And like, Cody's literally said, like, he recognizes that they need to get the fans on side and stuff like that. And it's just, I think some of the signings we've made are really good. The problem I've got is that I think Maresca's doing all this with one hand tied behind his back.
Yeah.
Because nothing's changed at board level. And when you look at the shambles of a pre-season tour we've just done, like, which was all about like PR.
It's a picture, doesn't it?
It's just about PR. And I'm not being funny. I don't really give shit. Like, my point about that is that the best way for Leicester to expand their brand and like do PR and marketing is to have stayed in the Premier League, and it's to get back in the Premier League. So what you're doing before your biggest season in years in the Championship, you like, we've played like 2 games in like 2.5, 3 weeks. That's not good enough, in my opinion. That when you're about to do a 46 game grueling season, and literally in the first couple of weeks, it's like, the first week we've got Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, like 3 games in 7 days, and they've played 2 games in 3 weeks. They're not, and we're playing Coventry first game, which is going to be great. I think the atmosphere is going to be great, because it's the first time we played them in 11, 12 years. I can't remember exactly. Like, and it's the M69 derby. It's like our localist rival generally, but they're going to be bang up for it. They're not. I'm not being funny. I watched the playoff final last year, and this is not to degrade them. Them and Luton don't play great football. Like whoever went up, they'd have struggled in the Premier League this season. But they're going to be bang up for it, and not just because it's Leicester, not just because it's a derby. That's the Championship. They all these clubs, and we'll be swanning into it with these players. A couple of them don't even want to be there. They're literally on record as like saying they don't really want to be there. Like Castagna, Vestergaard. Like, yeah, Maresca's playing them, and I know that's probably because he hasn't really got any other options because the squad's still paper thin. Because we lost 8 players out of contract, we lost Maddison and Barnes, and we signed 5 players. Like, which is fair enough. The players that we brought in, most of them excite me, but he's still thin on the ground, and he's having to play. He's still having to play Albrighton, and he's still having to play Vestergaard and Castagna, and these players that he probably doesn't want to play because they probably don't fit the mold. But the way we're playing, he looks like what he's trying to implement is working, but he's just the board just aren't like they're still holding out for like 15 million for Castagna. He don't want to be here. Cut your losses, get rid of him. Like if Juve or whoever or Fulham or whoever it is only wants to pay 10 million, great, let him go. If you don't want to be here, you don't want to be here, and that's the problem last season. We were holding on to these players.
You could upset the dressing room massively for the sake of financial gain of a couple of million, which then stops you getting promoted, which then in long term takes off so many finances not getting promoted. But you've got to weigh the situation up, and I do feel, and I thought this last summer with the Maddison thing. Sometimes you have to go, is this worth the agginess and the almost the agitation of fans and players and dressing rooms for the sake of 3-4 million, whatever it may be? It might be more than that. When reality is that money could then be reinvested and bring in someone who's desperate to play for the shirt and wants to make an impression, someone who's potentially hungrier, who doesn't think they've already made it, like a Castagna, who's obviously an international. I do feel like finances are important, but I think we've proven it probably best that team spirit and unity and graft and hard work and grit and determination is probably the biggest thing in football. You will beat anybody if you're 100% up for it and they're not quite at it. It's proven. And you said it the same with you being a scout this year for so many teams.
I think this thing with like Cody is that like Cody's the best example because he literally said like he heard about the interest from Leicester like pretty much as soon as the season finished. Like obviously we got relegated, but he heard about the interest pretty much straight away, and he said as soon as I heard it, I was interested. I wanted to talk to them. Like that's who I want. I want someone who wants to play for the football club. I want someone who's proud to have to wear the badge, not somebody who openly wants to leave. And that's the thing. Like
he's dropped the division as well.
Yeah, but it's the fact that like for me, like I don't agree with it. But you know, like when players go on strike to force a move.
Yeah.
Like I don't agree with it. I don't think they should be able to do it. Like I think they should just be like have their wages docked and whatever because they're going on strike essentially. Like, but at least you know where you stand with that player. That player is making it really clear to you, I want to leave. So the fans know this guy don't want to be here. When players are like sort of, you know, their performances on the pitch and their attitude stings, you're like, well, is that because they're being poorly coached? Is that because there's a problem behind the scenes where they don't feel happy? Or is it because they just can't be asked? You don't know when it's like that. You don't know what the genuine problem is. You could attribute it to so many things. If a player don't want to be there, they shouldn't be playing, in my opinion. If their attitude ain't right, if their attitude ain't on it, they just shouldn't be playing. I don't care if it means that we're going to play the kids, like a few of the kids, like Casey McAteer played against Liverpool, like was all right in the first sort of 20 minutes, and then obviously as they sort of took over the game, it became like he sort of drifted a little bit. But I would rather have players playing that want to play for the football club, not the other way around. So this season's going to be really interesting for both of us, but for very different reasons. Like, do you think what would you constitute? I mean, at this point, again, we're doing these predictions, and it's not a prediction; it's more just like an opinion piece. So we'll start to like wrap up just this part now. What would you constitute a successful season and a disappointing season? Like, if you could do those two things, what would you say is a disappointing season? What would you say is a successful season?
I think getting out of the group of the Champions League and even getting knocked out in the round of 16 is a good season in terms of where the Champions League's at. I think that's I don't expect any more than that. I do think, however, if we can get to the knockouts, we'd be very, very dangerous because of St. James's. I think that's why I want to get to that last 16 and see what it's like. In terms of the league, I think just top 6, just aim for top 6, and that is brilliant because you've guaranteed European football again in a. I don't want to say like, don't want to make out like the Conference League shit, but realistically, no one really wants to be in that if your ambitions are Champions League long term. It's probably for the mid-table teams to look at and be ambitious about. So like your Brentfords and your Brightons, and then that's no disrespect at all. I'm actually trying to big them up here because those clubs 5 years ago would never have dreamed of that. Your Fulhams, they should be looking at that, and I think we need to be looking at the Europa minimum now, given what we've had. If you're going to talk about a disappointing season, it's not getting out the group, not having a cup run, and finishing outside the top six. That I would be disappointed with that. I wouldn't be like calling for a Howe's head or anything. That's not me, because he has bought so much goodwill within the fan base. I don't think we can ever complain. We've gone from fodder to challenging every team that we play against and giving them a game with players that realistically should not be at that end of the table. I still maintain it, and I know he's done all right in pre-season, but Miguel Almiron is not a top six player.
No,
he's not. And as much as I love him as a bloke, he's not the type of player I want playing for us in the next couple of years. I would have sold him this summer personally, but you've got to give Howe credit because he's made him a threat. He's made him a threat. So for me, Howe's got so much goodwill in the bank. I would be so delighted with top six, and then just get out the group. And then if you can throw in maybe an FA Cup run to the semi-finals to get to Wembley again, that would be lovely. I would be so happy, and that is so ambitious. I mean, I feel greedy saying all those things, but like I say, if we get 3 or 4 more signings, which is the rumor, you're talking people like Lewis Hall mentioned because he's a Newcastle fan. His dad, I didn't actually realise this until a couple of weeks ago. His mum's a Sunderland fan. His dad's a Newcastle fan. His older brother's a Newcastle fan, and he's a Newcastle fan. And his family are originally from up here. So if we can try and get him off Chelsea to fill in that left back void when we want to go forward on the left, like the teams. And then you've got people named like Anderson from Palace as our right centre half option, along with Todibo at Nice. You're talking Livramento. And then you're probably looking at another versatile forward who's quite young. And it sounds like it'll be Desiree Doué, who's at Rennes, who's 17, but he's built like a bloke. Like he's a very, very talented footballer. If those 4 names come in, you've all of a sudden probably got too many options, which then gives us a broader spectrum to choose from in terms of games. So let's say we've got Bournemouth at the weekend and we've got, I don't know, Real Madrid in the week. Like you can pick your team accordingly then. And I think that's important. So I wouldn't write us off just yet. What's yours? What are you expecting? What's your absolute upper, and what's the very, very minimum you expect?
It's a difficult one because I think it's going to be a turbulent season regardless of whether we do well or not. Because I think the Championship's going to be harder this year than it was last year. I think the standard last year was, I won't say poor, but not as good as like recent years. Like Burnley, for example, were the first team to break 100 points in the Championship since we did it, and that was nearly 10 years ago. So, it'd be interesting. But I think that, I mean, realistically, we should be aiming to get back promoted. I don't really care how that is. If I had to choose, it'd be as winners. Second, I'd like to be as playoff winners. Nobody really wants to go up as runners up, but as long as we go up, that's kind of. I don't think it's the minimum expectation, but I think it's what we should be aiming to do, and we should be capable of doing that. I'll be honest, minimum expectation for me, even if the season doesn't go well, but the season just goes okay, with the squad that we've got and the players that we've got, should be in the playoffs. Not necessarily going up through the playoffs, but we should be finishing in the top 6, really. But the problem with the Championship is there are absolutely no I mean, there's no guarantees of things in the Premier League. In the Championship, there are absolutely no guarantees of anything. Like, I still maintain it's pound for pound best league in the world. But yeah, I think we should be aiming to get promoted again straight away. But minimum, I just think we should be challenging for the playoffs. We should be in the playoffs.
What I think is really interesting about the Championship this year is if you look at Southampton's current squad, they've got an unbelievably fresh, young, vibrant team who've got talent coming out their ears but no experience. Whereas you've got your current squad, and I say current squad because realistically you could lose so many senior players and they could gain so many senior players but lose so many youngsters. It could completely flip. But You've got experience like Cody, Castagna, Iheanacho, like players that have been there, done it at a high level, but also very, very, I'd say, steady players in that league that are going to turn up every week and do damage to teams. You've got youth like Dewsbury Hall, who is, I believe, is a very, very talented player. But then you've got Southampton, who've probably only got Ward-Prowse. That's literally their senior player. But then they've got Sekou Mara.
Have they still got like Bednarek and people like that?
Yes,
even though they probably won't play very often.
Contract? Yeah, maybe they still do. To be fair, yeah, because he went to Villa and then came back.
But they've got players that will do damage in that division. Like, I mean, I think Lavia will probably go, and I do think Ward-Prowse will probably go. I think
will probably go.
Because this is the thing, you forget there's still a month left in the window. A lot of these players will move. We'll probably lose a few more players as well, and Leeds probably will as well. But like, I said
Leeds look weak, by the way.
They've picked up a couple of decent players, to be fair, but I think Southampton are a good nod to win the league because they were so poor last season, and not to say that us and Leeds weren't, but because they were so poor, they haven't lost many players and they won't lose many players. Like, they lose Livramento, Lavia, Ward-Prowse. Yes, that significantly weakens them.
Salisu as well has gone.
Yeah, but he was non-existent last season, really, wasn't he? But they'll still have Alcaraz, they'll still have Armstrong, they've still got Nathan Teller, who might go to Burnley, but he was brilliant for Burnley in the Championship last season. So they've got some really good players. I wouldn't put it past them being in the top two, but historically, teams that go down don't always do really well when they come back up to go back up. So there's definitely a conversation, but this thing I don't dare predict the Championship, because I'd have a go at predicting the Premier League, but I don't dare predict the Championship because
it's too hard.
I couldn't. But and
QPR were really high up at the start of last season, ended up dropping off massively, and then Borough at the bottom last season, then ended up finishing just outside the playoffs.
Yeah,
so it's crazy.
Yeah, but on that, we are going to. Well, not Euan and I, but we are going to try and predict. Well, at least have a look at this weekend's Championship fixtures with the season starting. Obviously, Euan has got to go. He's got many plans today. He's a very busy man, as always. But I am going to be joined very shortly by the guys from the Sky Blue Hub. We're going to have a little bit of a conversation about Leicester's game against Coventry, and then we've got Jinksy and Blakey coming on after that to just talk about this weekend's fixtures and maybe some promotion predictions, relegation predictions, just a short piece. But Euan, good to be back. But yeah, I'm not going.
It's good to have you back, Jack. And I also think it's worth mentioning, Jack, that we do appreciate you. We really do. Everyone as a group in our chat, in the community, my friends who listen, we do appreciate what you do. You're a very, very good host. You knit this together seamlessly. I can talk for England, but I'm not sure I'll be able to do your job in making it all fit and structure together. So I'm glad you're feeling a bit better, and I'm glad you're willing to keep persevering with my nonsense every week.
Yeah, but to be fair, mate, it's just trying to get information from you. It's not like blood from a stone. It's literally like there's no filter. It just keeps coming out. Yeah, it just keeps coming out. But so we're gonna be back next week, and we will be doing talking a bit more about Premier League, because obviously the Premier League season will be starting then. But for the rest of this episode, I'm going to be joined by the guys from the Sky Blue Hub, and then Jinksy and Blakey to talk about the Championship with the season starting just around the corner. I will be back shortly. Euan, thank you for joining me again. I'll see you next week.
Cheers, Jack.
With the Championship curtain raiser being on Friday night, I thought it's time to turn our attention to the all-important game, which kicks off at 12 o'clock on Sunday at the King Power Stadium. It's the first time that Leicester and Coventry have gone up against each other since Saturday, 3rd of March 2012. Leicester 2-0 win, goals from David Nugent and Jermaine Beckford. Very, very different situation. Luckily, I am joined by Glenn from the Sky Blue Hub. Glenn, welcome to the show. Thank you for being with us this afternoon. Both clubs have been on one hell of a journey, haven't they, since that last game? How are you feeling going into the new season?
After Wembley, pretty much there was a bit of a hangover. I was really disappointed. Losing on penalties at Wembley is the worst way to get beat, and I just knew that Dabo was going to miss it. because he's never scored a goal for us. And as soon as he walked up, I just didn't watch it. And then I walked out of Wembley. I just couldn't wait to get home. And then it was just a bit of a hangover. You hate if onlys in football, don't you? That's the worst feeling, and that's what it was. I just felt we were just going to get out of jail. We should have been out of sight. Luton should have been out of sight first half, and yeah. So I've gone from quite down in the dumps and thinking, well, don't do a Barnsley or do a Huddersfield, to now today we've signed. Apparently, he's going to be announced today. Haji Wright, as we're recording this, US international, allegedly £9 million. No, sorry, €9 million, so nearly £8 million for Coventry. Yeah, this is weird. We're spending more money than some of the big boys. Like Leeds haven't spent that amount of money that we have. Southampton haven't. I don't even think Leicester have yet. I'm not sure. No, Leicester might have. Leicester spent more than us. But yeah, it's just ridiculous that we're signing internationals, and we've lost Gyökeres, who was basically our talisman, and everyone was kind of thinking Cov might struggle. But yeah, I'm actually thinking that we could go to the King Power and get a result on Sunday, which if you'd asked me last season, I'd have said you were cuckoo crazy. or 6 weeks ago, I'd have said you were mad. When the game come out, I was like, I'll be happy with a point. Now I'm thinking, hey, we've got a chance here, and we can cause you guys some problems. So yeah, it's flipped totally on its head for the last 3 months.
I think everyone kind of looked at it. You're absolutely right. I mean, from the outside looking in, when all the rumours came around and Gyökeres was going to be hot property, like after the season he had last year, you moved really quickly to then bring in Ellis Sims, who only had half a season at Sunderland but looked quite good there, and then obviously got taken back to Everton, scored a couple of goals in the Premier League. You have reinvested, I think, and that was kind of going to be my next question, is like the transfer dealings you've made, not just the players that you brought in, but also some of your key players, you've managed to keep hold of them. Would you say you're happy with that so far? Are there any areas that you think you need to strengthen? Any other players that you're worried about losing?
The big one at the moment is Gus Hamer. We really need to keep him. As much as Gyökeres got the plaudits, I think if you watch the playoff final, Hamer transformed the game for a second half. He obviously scored the goal. He went off injured, and kind of that blew any chance we had. And he kind of went under the radar. Gyökeres got all the plaudits, but Hamer's performances probably in the last 10 games of the season, if you count the playoffs, he was the reason we got to the Wembley, because he absolutely put some storming performance in goals, assists. So absolutely we need to keep him. I think he'd want to stay for footballing reason, but I think there's more to it. I think there's obviously stuff that's gone on in his family life at the moment that may well determine it where he'll go. I'll be gutted if he went to another Championship club. There's obviously rumours that Leeds are after him. I think even you guys at Leicester were linked with him. If he went to another club like Championship level, I'll be really gutted. The only positive is, look what we've done with the Gyökeres money, and we've reinvested. Like say, you guys have took Callum Doyle offers, and we've gone and got Josh Lebaudier, who's like a proven Championship performer, international.
Swansea, wasn't
way more, Swansea, way more experience than Callum Doyle had. And if you compare our dealings this summer to last summer we were scrapping around taking people who had next to non-Championship experience. Doyle had no Championship experience. Panzo didn't. We signed a lad from Palace on loan who played one game and then disappeared off the face of the earth. McNally hadn't played any real Championship football. So, yeah, and we signed Casey Palmer, and that was the only one we actually paid a fee for. This year, I think we've paid a fee for almost every player bar De Silva and Lebautier, and they are proven Championship performers or played a lot overseas. The one I'm really looking forward to is Sakamoto. I think if Doyle plays left back for you, I think he'll give Doyle a roasting because he's really good and got some good tricks, and he's a sort of person I think Doyle doesn't do well against. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, really excited with the dealings, and fingers crossed, more to come.
Yeah, I mean that's worrying going into Sunday, because I mean, as much as I'm liking the sort of stamp that Maresca's putting on the team, like we do seem to be in possession, we seem to look really good, but we do look a little bit exposed down the channels, and I think that might be something that teams look to exploit this season. So that'll be a really interesting matchup on Sunday. Obviously, like we said, since that last game in 2012, both clubs have been on like really, really varying journeys. How nice is it to go into a season for the first time in God knows how long, thinking this club actually has a direction and has stability now? Because obviously you've got the new ownership, like the ground, you've got like a lease back on that again. Like, is it nice to have that, like, to be able to just concentrate on the playing side for a while?
Yeah, I mean, if you look back to last season, we didn't have a pitch. We sold our vice captain basically to pay for the pitch. We didn't play a home game. I didn't see us play a home game till the 1st of October. That's ridiculous as a fan. And there were times that I remember speaking, we went to Norwich away and Robbins dropped Gyökeres, Goddard. We lost 3-0 and we were absolutely atrocious. And there was just the hint that Robbins was ready to walk. And then flip it a couple of months further forward, Doug King comes out of nowhere. And ever since then, we've just been revitalised. And it's just been very similar, I guess, to like when your owner came in top. He just kind of gets it. He's not perfect.
Yeah.
He makes mistakes, but he's kind of transformed it. And he said, "Come on the journey." And it all sound a bit cliche. And if you back me, I'll back you. And he's kind of lived up to his words. I don't think anyone thought we'd spend the money we have now. And yeah, it makes a change to. I'm going to hate this because we always cover it up, but it makes a change to actually be thinking, you know what? We could be a dark horse. We could. The people talking about Cov for the right reasons, whereas last season it was just we were the laughing stock and you ain't got a pitch to play on. Where are you going to play this week? Where are you going to go play at Burton, or are you going to go and play at Walsall? And yeah, to now we've got a ground. The pitch is great. We've got a team. We've got players. We've got players that other clubs want. And yeah, I think we've got a chance, but we've got a real tough start to the season. We play a lot of good sides, so. But yeah, we've got a chance against anyone on our day. We've shown it last couple of years. We defy the logic. We beat Middlesbrough on their own patch when no one gave us a chance now. And we hammered Fulham. We hammered Sheffield United before. So yeah, it's just on our day. But we could throw in a Luton away performance where we get smashed 5-0, or Stoke at home where we lost 4-0 to Stoke, who couldn't buy a win after that. So yeah, it's weird.
I mean, I kind of look at it, and I if I put my Leicester hat on, like, it's a really odd one because, like you said, a lot of people are now sort of tipping you to do quite well. Last season, you kind of were going under the radar at the start and you managed to progress. Do you think that with that expectation, there comes pressure? Like this team that got to the playoff final, you've improved, you spent money in areas. Do you think there's now an expectation for them to perform? Do you think that will come into play at all? Or do you think it's just, we'll just play our football and see what happens?
I think there's got to be a sense of realism within the fan base. I think we got into the playoffs last season with a bit of luck. Ultimately, the reason we got in the playoffs was our goalkeeper scoring in the 96th minute away at Blackburn. If that goal doesn't go in, we miss out on the playoffs. And that's how fine a margin it was. This season, we could be competitive, but it's the toughest the championship's ever been. So I think there's a sense of realism. I think our chairman said, I want to be in the playoffs throughout the next 5 years. I think we've got players on 4-year deals. I look at it now, it's a 4-year project of getting Cov out of the league into it may be our season this season. You don't know, we could have terrible luck with injuries and it could come unstuck, or we could just continue the momentum from last season. But yeah, I do get the pressure bit. I think there's been games where maybe we've been expected where the team haven't performed as well as we thought. There has been those blips that we've had. I'd argue Wembley, first 45 minutes, we were garbage, to be honest. And most people who'd watched Cov play or spoke to said the same. Said really that you kind of didn't show up till second half. Yeah, I do have. It'll be interesting, but we're more experienced. So
yeah. No, it's okay. Sorry, I was cutting you off there. I did find that the playoff finals, they are often quite tetchy affairs. And you and Luton last season weren't teams that played really expansive football. And it was kind of two very similar styles going up against each other. And I did think like the first half, you didn't look, I watched you quite a bit last season. I thought actually in the first half, you didn't look anywhere near on it. But second half, you kind of grew into the game. But then obviously Hamer going off, like really sort of scuppered it. And penalties is a horrible way to go down. Like it really is. It's a flip of a coin, isn't it? So hopefully, hopefully for you, not for me, I'm like not being but hopefully for you, you kind of react to it the way that we did after the Watford defeat with the Troy Deeney moment. Like we obviously went on to win the league the next season, but it can obviously impact you the other way as well. Sunday's obviously quite a big game, first time we play each other, and also two probably top 6 contenders, like laying down a marker first game of the season. What's your honest prediction for Sunday? What would you think is going, rather than what you'd want to happen, what do you think is going to happen?
I think, honestly, it'll be down to the team that defends the best. I think that's going to be. I think both teams will score goals. I have nightmares about Inacho or Daka against McFadden because he's going to get roasted by either of them. But then I also think like Sims against Doyle, or if you've got Hard Right against Doyle, Vestergaard isn't the quickest. If you offer me a draw now, I'd take it. I think both teams will want to draw. I don't think either will want to lose the first game. I can probably see it being a 1-1, very much similar to that we started the season away at Sunderland. But yeah, I think I'll be happy with a draw, and I think Maresca will. But I think it's just how we gel at the back. I mean, we could have an entirely new back six basically besides McFadden, and that just worries me that we could get exploited. And you've got Vardy, you've got Daka, you've got Inacho. You've got some real good players in there. So paper, Leicester should win. Looking even with the quality you've still got. I mean, you've got players who are playing in the European, whatever is the European Cup semi for you against Roma not that long ago, and full international. So I would say head says Leicester will probably nick it. Heart, I could see us girls an upset, and it could be a shock, and we could win 2 or 3-1. I think, but it's really tough to call.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I said, like on a different podcast I was on last night, I said that I think it'll be a 1-0 scrappy win to us. But then I was like, it could also be a 1-0 scrappy win to you. Like it's very much a knife edge game, I think, because you've got one team that is quintessentially Championship and one team with a lot of quality that's kind of trying to re-find itself and remold itself. And I think Maresca will absolutely take a draw. I also think that he'd love to start off with a win. So we'll see. I think it'll be a really intriguing match, even for the neutrals. So hopefully it plays out that way and it's not just a boring 0-0 draw. I
don't think it will be. I don't think it will be. I think the fans won't let it be. I think that there'll be too many players on either side who've got a point to prove and want to show it. So yeah, it could be something crazy score wise. But I don't generally know. I just hope it's a good game, and it'll be enjoyable to go over to Leicester. I've enjoyed my trips over to there in the past, so it's a nice day out. It beats going to some of the lovely grounds that we went to in League 2 and League 1 anyway.
Yeah, but it's I think the atmosphere first sort of 10-15 minutes will be really good. I think it'll be, because like I say, it's the first time we've played each other in so long. Like it's the first game of the season. Everyone knows that like everyone's got high, like even teams that are like, we don't look that good. When it comes to that, the whistle blowing, suddenly your expectations fine. You think, what could we achieve this season? So I think it'll be a great game. But then thank you so much for giving up your time this evening with me. Where can people find you? What sort of content do you put out?
Yeah, so I run the Sky Blue Hub, which is basically something I started during lockdown, which is basically just a Coventry City site, a Twitter page that promotes anything Coventry City related. So yeah, I just share. There's loads of Coventry content creators now. So I help out a bit with Sky Blues Fans TV. So they do YouTube shows on a Thursday and a Sunday at 7:30 p.m. And I also help out with at the All Things Sky Blue, and they do a Twitter space every Sunday evening at 9 p.m. during the season where they just have fans on and we talk about all things Sky Blue basically. So yeah, that's my thing at the moment. So yeah, I just enjoy talking about football. So yeah, it'll bring back some memories playing Leicester, because it reminds me of the mid-90s when we were both Premier League sides, and some good games against you guys. So it'll be enjoyable to go to a proper local derby with my eldest, because he hasn't been a proper big team local derby. Let's say Blues and West Brom make out of a derby, but it isn't really, because it's Villa and Leicester for me. It's always has been. So yeah, that'll be enjoyable going there.
Excellent. Well, I hope you have a good day on Sunday, but I hope you don't come away with the 3 points. Cheers, Ben. Cheers, Ben. Thanks a lot. Carrying on with the Championship theme this evening, with the curtain raiser being 2 days away, as said previously, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Championship and the Championship in general. We are going to put our necks on the line and do some predictions. I am joined, very, very happy to say I'm joined by Blakey once again. Blakey, this is your third appearance. You are the only person to ever appear on all 3 iterations of the show. So for that, you receive a match ball. You won't receive it in the post because it's the only football that I've got. But that's metaphorically for you. So well done. How are you?
Yeah, all good, mate. Like I say, like I said, not really ready for the season to start again mentally or to deal with the emotional pain that comes with it. But it never is. So, and obviously back in the Championship, I thought we'd do a bit longer up there, but it is what it is. And at least I might get to see a few more games now. But try to look at the bright side of it. But
Some might say in our lifetime the Championship is where you belong, but that's a different conversation for another day. And we're also joined by somebody making their debut on the podcast, somebody I have known for many, many years, one of my oldest friends. Tom, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, mate. Sort of feeling similar to Blakey in terms of the season starting again. I've got a weird sense of optimism though, even though all the disappointment at the end of last year. But yeah, we go again and see what happens.
It's hard not to be optimistic, really, isn't it? When you come down and everyone keeps showing you like the wage bills and the players that you get linked with compared to everyone else, and you're like, that sounds pretty good. But then you're like, it's the Championship. It doesn't work out that way, does it?
Never. It's like the one division where anything can happen from top to bottom. So that's partly why I'm quite looking forward to it again, though. Being back down there, it is weirdly exciting.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of what we're going with today. Like we are very much going to put our necks on the line, and it's really difficult because I've always said, and we said it on the last podcast at the end of last season that we did, that predicting the season is difficult. But it was at that point. That was at the start of July. A month has passed. There's been players coming and going, managers changing. The season's about to start. It's a more fair time to do predictions, I think, even though predicting in the Championship is near impossible. But we'll start with this weekend's fixtures before we do anything. Are there any, apart from the ones that we're involved in, are there any games that stand out to you at all? Any games that you've spotted that you think that looks like it could be a really, really interesting matchup on the opening weekend? Blakey, I'll start with you.
I think for myself, just looking over again, obviously the very first game, the sort of the ones that are standing out to me at the moment, the very first one, Wednesday against Southampton. I think obviously it's one of those where obviously the 2 divisions apart last season, and now I'd be interested to see how they line up. I don't think Wednesday are having the best sort of start to life in terms of behind the scenes. And obviously Southampton look to get off to a strong start. That's sort of catch my eye. The other 2 were obviously yours against Coventry, a bit of a Midlands derby there. It might be quite a bit tasty one to start off, and also Sunderland Ipswich, which was similar thing of strong contender last season against the newly promoted side. So those were the 3 that were standing out to me as sort of ones to watch.
Definitely. Tom, any similar ones or anything different?
Funnily enough, I wrote down the exact same 3, to be honest. I mean, obviously our one against Coventry, like personally, is going to be a big one for us, but equally see how they get on after the sort of the playoff heartbreak for them. Then again, I put down Wednesday, Southampton, similar reasons really. But to be honest, of the 3, I think Sunderland Ipswich is one that I think will be the most tasty. Because again, Sunderland just sneaking in there at the end of last year, but I'm not sure how that's going to carry on into this season. And then everyone's making sort of big deal about Ipswich as well, coming up from League One after their sort of good end to last season. So it'll be an interesting one.
I mean, I'm looking at the games on Saturday. Like the ones we've all said are absolutely like the opening game on Friday, then the games on the Sunday. But there's quite a few on Saturday that I think are quite interesting, but for very different reasons. Like if you look at it, there's quite a few teams who are matching up against each other who will be looking to get in the playoffs. Like you've got Blackburn v West Brom, Borough Millwall, Norwich Hull, Swansea, Birmingham. They're all teams that will be looking to get into the playoffs. Like that'll be their target. So it'll be interesting to see because some of those teams have made some reasonable signings. Like I think that like Birmingham in particular have recruited quite well, and they seem to have a little bit of stability behind them going into the season this year, which for them is over their last few years, it's probably quite refreshing for their fans. So that'll be an interesting game. But I agree. I think you can't really look past like the games that are on TV, and not to be too biased with that. I think that actually they've picked quite good TV games this weekend in terms of getting a gauge where some of these teams are going to be. How do we feel like we're good? I mean, I've talked about this already, so I'll leave it to you two. How do you think we're going to do this weekend? So, Tom, we'll start with you. Like, we're obviously playing Coventry. I've already voiced mine. Listeners, you will know what I think about this. Tom, what do you reckon about our game?
I mean, you know me, Joe. I'm ever hopeful when it comes to Leicester.
Are you? Are you? I've never seen that with you.
I'd say more so than you, to be honest. But to be honest, I'm kind of looking at getting out of this one as a must not lose, in my opinion, with it being the derby. But I think for us, just getting on our feet back in the division, I'm a little worried that we'll still be a bit slow to start with our sort of pre-season tour around Asia that's not exactly gone to plan. And sort of
understatement of the year.
Yeah,
understatement of the year.
The few bits I've seen of us in pre-season, it's still defensively. I think we're a bit shaky. So
it's happened again. He's frozen again. I'm gonna have to boot him and add him back in. Oh no, he's back.
Sorry, not hear anything I just said.
You said we got to defensively. We were a bit shaky.
Yeah, and because of that, although from what I've seen we do look all right going forwards, it doesn't fill me with enough confidence yet. I'm thinking if we get out with a draw, obviously I'd like a win, but I think I'll take a draw with the first game. I just think it's important really not to lose that first game. Yeah,
I think I'd like to get a win because I think that after last season it'd be really big for Maresca and the players confidence-wise to get that. But I agree, it's for both teams. I think it's a must not lose. So Blakey, your game is very different. I think that we're moaning quite a lot about kind of our tumultuous pre-season, not so much about our recruitment. Your recruitment in terms of the players that you have available has maybe been a bit questionable, and Cardiff, who you're playing against, they've taken a few risks, but potentially have recruited really well. How are you feeling going into that one?
I mean, yeah, when the fixtures came out, I kind of thought, well, actually, can't really bemoan that as a first fixture. You're probably not really going to get any better in terms of it's the home tie to a side that weren't really that impressive last season. Although they got a couple, obviously that Aaron Ramsey through the door, big name. There's not always a guarantee of how everyone else is going to get on. So, in that sense, it's not. You can't really promote it too much in terms of the actual fixture. The transfer has been really weird. I think we've been going through a whole tumultuous thing of the ownership changing, which finally got confirmed approved by the EFL. Took ridiculously long, and then obviously from the back of that, we got Ethan Ampadu through the door, who's looked quite good at the start of pre-season games, but. Obviously, I think we're still going through the changes like you might be as well in terms of as a relegated side. You still won't really know what your side's going to look like until about 3-4 games into the season because there's still players who we've got who I think probably could be out of the door as well at some point because we've got these relegation clauses, and so it's still very up in the air. I think I'm not too overconfident yet as in terms of I think we really should be winning it because it's one of those where, listen, if we want to be up at least in the playoffs, at the very least, I mean, we have to be winning these sorts of games.
Yeah.
So it's one of those where that's where the nerves come in more because obviously we really should be winning it, but it's just a case of whether that comes to fruition. I think it could be a bit of a early banana peel for a game, but
I think it's when you come down. There is an instant expectation on you to win games, and it doesn't matter who you play against. I think the only teams really that you'd play against that people would expect you to maybe not win would be against the other relegated sides. Like I think when you come down, there's there's a pressure on you to win and to deliver, and I agree. I think there's an issue there, but we'll do our predictions. I think. And when I say predictions, these aren't set in stone. These are not like I think this is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's like just who we think is going to finish in and around that area. So we'll break it down to automatics. So top 2 interchangeable, could be champions, could be second. Playoffs, bottom 3, and then we've gone for top scorer as well. So I will start. With me, why not? I've started with both of you. I'll start with me, and you can all shake your head disagreeingly, or nod your head, or shout at me, or whatever you want to do. I'm sure there'll be people listening or in the comments who will not like this. But my automatic 2, I've been non-controversial with one and maybe quite controversial with the other. So my top two, in no particular order, but I do think one's more likely than the other. I've actually gone for Southampton and Sunderland, because I think Southampton haven't lost that many players. They've got quite a young, vibrant, exciting squad. They probably will lose Lavia. They probably will lose. They probably will lose Ward-Prowse as well, but they have still got players like Alcaraz. It looks like they're trying to keep hold of Nathan Teller. They'll have Che Adams, Adam Armstrong. Like, they've got some quite good players. And like Bazunu's still going to be there in goal. Thinking a year in the Championship could be amazing for him. And Sunderland are missing Amad Diallo, but they've got the backing of the Stadium of Light. They've got, they have recruited quite well again. They've gone to the continent and recruited some quite good young players again who look quite exciting. They're kind of unknown, so there's not that much expectation on them. I think they've got a chance, and I just think momentum's a really big thing. I think Sunderland weren't expecting to be in the top six last season. There's suddenly a feel good factor around the club. They've got a chance, big club, and you know the Championship has done weird things before. So that's my top two. Either of you hate those shouts, or can you see my thinking there?
Yeah, particularly see it with Southampton. Yeah, I won't give mine away, but I've got them up there, around there. Yeah, Sunderland's, I find them a tricky one to place this year. I know you're saying about sort of the bounce from the end of last season, but I'm not sure whether that'll continue or not. So I mean, this is what we're saying, isn't it? Like, it's so hard to predict at this stage, but I think they're both fair shouts. Yeah.
Blakey, who've you gone for?
Yeah, top two. I've got Southampton as well. I think similar thing. Obviously, got quite a strong side, and I think that's one of the things where in the Premier League sometimes when you recruit, if you've got that sort of, you can recruit maybe not well enough for the Premier League, but then in the Championship you think, well, they're not always going to get picked up by Premier League clubs, but they are either young, up and coming, haven't proved it yet, but they have the perfect opportunity this season. I think they've got a great squad to do that. So I think I've got them top two, and I've also got you boys as top two as well. I just think going in, looking at the squad on paper, I think some of the signings are made. I think Harry Winks is a decent signing. I don't think I've seen people really raving, not so much Leicester fans, but other people. I think he's good, but he's one of those where you never know. He could be very quiet in the background captain, be the engine in the midfield, good. But I think I'm more like the Cody signing is quite an impressive one, I think, to me, in terms of having that steady head at the back. And
I think he's unglamorous, isn't he? He's from watching him in pre-season, he's integral to how Maresca wants to play. He's not he's not going to be the one flying up the field, getting your goals and assists, but he's the one who's coming deep off the back three and turning the balls around the corner. He looks really integral in that. So, yeah, be an interesting one. But thank you. You are going to hate me in about 5 minutes' time. So, Tom, who was your top two?
So yeah, to prove I am the more hopeful of us, I have got us up there. And
all the more foolish. All the more foolish.
I've got to say, I feel like we'll have a slow start, a bit like what I was saying about just maybe getting a draw first game and things like that. But I've got the faith that hopefully the quality will show through in the end. And then sort of linking on to what you were saying about sort of Sunderland carrying on, I've got Middlesbrough up there as well, sort of to follow on from their performances last season, full season with Carrick this time. I thought they might kick on and carry on from where they left off last year.
Yeah,
so they're my top two, Borough and Leicester. Yeah,
I mean, I think that's fair enough. Again, can't really argue with it because you don't know, do you?
Isn't it, at this stage?
We'll stick with you though. I mean, I can imagine based on who's not made your top two, who's probably in the playoffs. Who is in your playoffs, Tom?
Yeah, so Southampton, like I said, I've got them up there. To be honest, I was in an hour in between putting them top two, so I've got them down as third. I know we're saying like in no particular order, but I think if they don't go up automatically, I think they'll be right up there in the playoffs. Again, in no particular order, I have got Leeds in there. I kind of feel like might be a bit weak in midfield at the moment. Again, depends how the rest of the window goes, but I thought it might be some periods of inconsistency across the year might cost them. And then I like to go for a couple of rogue shouts. There's always some surprise packages in the Championship, isn't there? Which is always great. I think Hull are going to have a run. They're my rogue shout to sort of, there's that one team that always sort of sneaks into the playoffs, sort of towards the end. So they're going to be like my surprise package. But then I think Sunderland is the other one. So wasn't convinced they'll carry on all the way like you, Jack. But yeah, I think they'll be up there again.
Yeah. Blakey, any similar shouts, different shouts?
Yeah, so in terms of like my playoffs, I've got like 36. So I've had Sunderland and Leeds in there. I think it's a similar thing with Sunderland, pressing on from last season, recruiting slightly well. So still up in the air, some of the players they might lose or keep hold of, but I think they'll still be there or thereabouts. Middlesbrough, I've got those up there. I think obviously under Carrick, I don't know whether they'll. I think there's a few things going on in the background in terms of some of the players, but they do have a good base squad, and it'll be interesting to see how they get on. Us at the moment, that's kind of a bit of I don't want to put us top two, but at the same time, I don't want to leave us out completely. I think we do have, obviously going down, there is an expectation of us to be up there or thereabouts. So I do hope if we can try and get recruitment a bit more in order and get a bit more of a base squad going and knowing everything, we can be in a strong position to really challenge. And the last side I've got in there is Millwall. I think last season they showed some good strides with some of the players in midday. Charlie Crespo on loan from us, who started well, then dipped outside, and then came back and made a big impact. And they just missed out in the end, I think. But I think that's one team I think they could be there again.
No, I think, again, fair shouts. The problem with this, and this is what I found with my four, you could pick any one of 10 teams, couldn't you? You could pick any 4 of 10 teams, really. That's how close it's going to be. Like I've probably got, like, if I picture it in my head, I've got this 4 in the playoffs, and then I've got 5 teams all within 2 or 3 points of getting in there as well. So it's a really hard one. But I've, again, similar to you, Blakey, like I've gone for Leicester. Like, I don't want to over eggers. I do think that playoffs, without, again, putting too much pressure on, I think playoffs with the squad we've got should really be a minimum expectation. But, it doesn't play out like that. I've actually got Coventry maintaining a good season. I think they've lost Gyökeres, but they've recruited quite well. And they've still got Gustavo Hamer. I think he's really key to the way they play. So I think they could sneak in. I've also got Middlesbrough, Middlesbrough are the team that I probably would take out now, thinking about it, because I kind of looked at their squad and I thought, yes, they've still got Chuba Akpom, who's a chance for being top goal scorer, but they've lost Zach Steffen, they've lost Ryan Manning, they've lost some not Ryan Manning, they've lost some good players who were not Ryan Manning, Giles, sorry, not Ryan Manning, he's at Swansea. Giles, the left back, they've lost some good players, and they haven't signed too many, but I do think they've got a very good manager. I think they've got goals. That's really important in the Championship. And the surprise team that I've got in there, similar to yours, Tom, and similar to yours with Millwall, Blakey, I've got Stoke, because I think they've signed some really good players. Like, if I'm looking at it, they've got Ryan Mame from Ferencváros, don't know who he is, but he's like highly rated. Andrea Vidigal, Daniel Johnson, Ender Stevens, Michael Rose, Wesley, Ben Pearson, Keanu Hoover, Luke McNally, Mark Travers, like Chiquinho. They've signed some decent players who could end up being decent in the Championship. It could go completely wrong for them, because a lot of the time when teams in the Championship sign loads of players, it doesn't work out. But a lot of those players are exciting or Championship experienced. And Alex Neil's a good manager. So there's a chance there. That's my 4, really. But I could have, I'll be honest, I had Leeds at any point since we talked about this. I had Leeds, I had Norwich in there, I had Hull in there at one point. I had, I think I even had Swansea talking about being in there as well. Like, it could be anyone. Easier though was the bottom 3. My bottom 3 picked itself quite easily, actually. Will probably be proven wrong. None of these teams will go down, but my bottom 3 was a lot easier. Blakey, who was in your bottom 3?
Yeah, so I think, judging by, I think this is quite the bottom 3 is quite similar all rounds for other people doing predictions like that. So kind of got an order, but in whatever order really could turn us with whatever. I've got Rotherham, QPR, and I've gone for Sheffield Wednesday. I was umming and ahhing between them and Huddersfield. It might just be more of a, because I like Neil Warnock, I kind of want to back him to try and just keep him up. But I don't know, they look like they could be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. But
I said the same thing. Warnock factor keeps him up, doesn't it? Like last season.
It's quite hard sometimes, I think, when you're predicting sides to go down, because you can predict sides to, oh yeah, they don't look good at the start of the season, but then all of a sudden, at least one of them will have a new manager bounce at some point or another. And I expect QPR to be potentially one of those sides, because I don't really think under Gareth Ainsworth he's really going to take them anywhere. And I think they could potentially, with a better manager in with other manager in place, could work, because I think he's one of those managers who it works at one place but not the other, if you know what I mean. So
yeah, no, I got you, mate. I agree with you on a couple. Tom?
Yeah, I found it tricky as well. A bit like saying that you know there's going to be changes all the way through. So yeah, I've had a few names down there, and then settled on a few, and again tried to throw in a rogue shout as well. So yeah, I think QPR will go down. I had Sheffield Wednesday in there, but then I thought, you know what, I think something will happen, and I think they'll be all right. But then I put in Plymouth in there, even after their sort of storming into last season as a surprise one. And kind of linked to what you were saying a moment ago, Jack, about Stoke, in terms of like making all the signings. I've put Birmingham down there as one of those where they've made lots of signings, but one of those, will they gel? Will they get together? Will it be one of those, like you said, I could be proven completely wrong, and they could be up in the top half of the table, but I'm just seeing one of those as a bit more of a collapse rather than a sweet team get together.
Yeah, I thought Birmingham, personally, I think they've recruited reasonably well. I just don't know if they've got enough goals in the team, is my kind of question about them, to get them firing at the top. I don't think they'll be in any trouble, but you're right, it could go wrong, couldn't it?
But yeah, I put a few names in and out of that three, so yeah.
See, you said you think something's going to happen at Sheffield Wednesday. I do. I think they're going to have about 4 managers this season, and they're going to be an absolute shower. So I think I've got them. I've got Rotherham, and my rogue shout is Preston. I think steady, but I just think they could be drawn in. I'm looking at their squad, and I could be proven wrong. I don't know if they've recruited that well. I don't know if they've recruited badly, and that's the thing. I look at Preston, and I'm like, I don't know. It's just a team where I can't make heads or tails of it. And any Preston fans that might listen probably won't. I don't mean it in an insulting way. I just have no idea about your team. And when I look at the other squads compared to yours, I think they're better. But again, like the playoffs, I've got 3 teams, 3 different teams, directly above that within 1 or 2 points, like your QPRs and your Plymouths. I don't think they're going to be a million miles away. Huddersfield as well, but we'll see. That's my 3. Speaking of, I've got my Huddersfield ticket. I'm going next week, and I'm getting up early tomorrow to try and get my Rotherham ticket as well. So I'm going to do a tour of South and West Yorkshire.
Out the relegation candidates
in August. Yeah, they'll probably beat us both times, won't they? But now we move on to the really tricky one, because half of these people might not be there in a month's time. The top goal scorers. Who are we feeling? Because I mean, if I put forward some names, and I'm sure some of these would have crossed your mind. I mean, you've got Vardy, Iheanacho. I would say Daka, but I'm not that confident. Ellis Sims now got Hadji right if he goes to Coventry. You've got Chuba Akpom. You've got Joel Pirro if he stays at Swansea. You've got Che Adams. You've got a lot of players who could hit quite a few goals this season. Any of those names entice you to, if you were going to put money on it?
I went for Che Adams as my pick. I know you sort of listed the few sort of strikers that we've got at Leicester, but again, I don't know. I mean, if Iheanacho or Daka, which one of those are staying? Vardy again, not sure. I also feel like our goals are going to be a bit spread around. I'm feeling. Don't know where. That's just my thoughts. And although I said I put Southampton sort of just into the playoffs, this is where I'm going to give them some credit back. I think I'm going to give them the golden boot with Che Adams. I think he'll stay, and I think he'll be sort of the one striker that's going to get most of their goals. Yeah, I had Akpom in my thoughts as well, but I plumped for Che Adams in the end.
I think, Leicester's finest, former St Andrews and St Andrews and an Eton player.
That as well, yeah.
Blakey?
Yeah, all those names are sort of bouncing around in my head. I kind of thought, obviously, the Leicester one stuck out, and I saw like Patson Daka was up there, and but like I say, it's one of those where I don't know what the behind the scenes of Leicester, what sort of the rumours are of who's going out of those, who's staying, because to have Vardy, Daka, and Iheanacho all there seems a bit overkill, to be honest. But
the one thing you can say is all three of them are in rotten form. So one of them's got to be given time to try and find that form again, and that's the problem. And I said I went on him the Leicester podcast last night. I went on the It's 11, It's Heaven Jamie Vardy podcast. If you've not listened to it, check it out. It's very good. Mark does a really, really good job with that. And I said I think that we need to sign another striker. I'd maybe sell two of them, and not Vardy, can't sell Vardy, but I'd sell one or two of them and bring in someone else, because being a striker, it's all about confidence. It's all about form. If they're not in form, like Tom said, the goals have got to come from somewhere else. So I've steered well clear. If I was going to put money on it, me personally, I'd steer well clear. But I can understand why people would really back them to score goals, Blakey.
Of the three of ours, I think I would have gone for Daka, actually. I feel like we will move Iheanacho on. I think he's the more likely to be sold. And I think he will persist with Daka. And then you never know, he might hit that form. But yeah, I'd steer clear of them all in the end. But
I think
who was your pick? Who was your pick, Blakey?
Well, my mind kind of went instantly to like a Joel Pirro, but at the same time, because we've been linked with him, but I think it might look like we might be getting priced out of it, which is no. But I mean, we've only got. I'm not going to go for any Leeds players. I'm not going to go for Bamford because it's the same thing, rotten form. But I've got Rutu, who's good, but I think we're in a similar position where our goals could be coming from wingers, especially depending on who we keep a hold of. They could be quite involved. One actual name that I kind of stuck out as well, potentially, is like Southampton was Adam Armstrong. I kind of thought
I've gone for the same, Blakey. He was absolutely electric when he was at Blackburn. I went for the same player.
I just think under the right thing, it's one of those where he could be that sort of player. But yeah, so that was all those names are thereabouts, but that was sort of one that was sticking out to me as a bit more of a less. But yeah.
It's a bit of a left field shout. I mean, it isn't like I said, when he was at Blackburn, he was absolutely electric, but he went to Southampton, didn't quite cut it. But like we said, he's now come down a division with a better team. If he can be playing, but then do they play two up front, one up front? If they play both Adams and Armstrong, they could be scoring goals for fun. But we'll see. I think Armstrong's a strong shout. Feel a bit mean on Chuba Akpom actually, because I think he's an absolute class player. But we will see what happens. We will be revisiting this after the window closes, because a lot of these players and a lot of the signings could be really different. So we are going to revisit this. Me and Euan. Well, we're going to do. Euan's going to do his next week, and then I will speak to these two boys and see if anything changes. But we're going to come to the end of the show. But I'm going to introduce a new segment now, which is a new game. Those of you who love Obscure Footballer of the Week, please do not fret. It is not going anywhere. We are still going to play Obscure Footballer of the Week, but that is going to be a Premier League based game. So when we do our Premier League sort of focus shows or our big news focus shows, it will be on that. This game is going to feature on the Championship specials that I'm going to be doing with Luke from the Corridor of Uncertainty podcast this season. And it is called Fergie Time. Now, the rules are very, very clear. It comes with its own theme song, which I will play to you shortly, but I'll break down the rules first. I'm going to give both of the contestants, Tom and Blakey, 30 seconds to name as many things from a topic as I can, but they'll go up against each other. So Tom might say he will name 12 Leicester players. Blakey will say, okay, I can name 13. Tom will say 14. Blakey will say 15, and Tom will go, okay, go for it. If Blakey gets all 15, he wins. If he fails, then Tom gets a chance to say 14 and then he wins. But I have left my book with all the answers in the other room. So I'm going to play for you the theme song for Fergie Time, and then I will leave you with that whilst I go and do that, okay? So this is the... Tom, you've heard this, so you know what's coming. Blakey, this is new for you. But I'm going to play you the 2-second theme song for Fergie Time. And this is the noise that will play when your time is up.
He could have been killed.
Amazing. That is the theme song for Fergie Time.
He could have been killed. He could have been killed.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly run into the other room and get my book. It will not take me very long, but here I am going to leave you with Sir Alex Ferguson on repeat.
He could have been killed. 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 He could have been killed.
It's more and more
He
ridiculous.
could have been killed.
Hello.
He could have been killed. He could have been killed.
Oh, I completely forgot about
He
that.
could have been killed. He could have been killed.
Oh, he's still going. Hello, I'm back. I could have been killed. I also got a snack because I went to running club earlier. Has anyone tried these before? They are
Yeah.
Nutella
Good,
purity.
that.
Absolutely ecstatic. And I was trying to describe to Tom that it looks a little bit like a clog off screen.
Hold it up.
Or a really bad loaf of bread. You see, if I just do that on the end, it looks like a clog, but it looks like a really bad loaf of bread. Tastes amazing. And no, there are no paid promotions in this. I just really like them. So there's two levels to the game, right? Sorry, I'm eating. This is really bad manners. I'm sorry. There are two levels to the game. Okay. There's the hard one or the easy one. I think to kick it off in style, we should go for the hard one. Now, what I need you to do is name from the top 15 leagues. Don't know what that means. Don't know what the top 15 leagues are. In Europe, the 30 of the I've got a list of 30 of the top scorers in Europe last season. How many of those players do you think you'd be able to name?
Is this in their respective leagues?
Yeah. So all of these players were the top 30 scorers from Europe's top 15 leagues last season. Now that includes leagues like Russia, Switzerland, Turkey. They're all top leagues, so there's no second divisions. So you've got Ligue 1, you've got Serie A, you've got La Liga, Turkish league, the Russian league. I think there's one player from the Ukrainian league. But yeah, basically, who were the top 30 scorers? How many do you think you could name?
Oh gosh. Not many, I have to say.
Yeah.
So
what makes this difficult is if one of you gets it wrong, then the second person can't say. Well, they can say the ones. I'll make it easy for this one because it's the hard one. You can say some of the players that have gone, but
we make notes.
Well, you won't have time. You've only got 30 seconds. Right, who thinks they could? Who wants to start? Blakey, how many do you think you could name in 30
Can
seconds?
there be more than one from each country?
Yeah. It's literally the top.
Overall.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like loads of them could be from the Premier League. Loads of them could be from La Liga. It's not the top scorer from each league. It's the top scorers in all of those leagues.
I'm having such a mind.
Because how would I get 30 players from 15 leagues otherwise?
I've instantly forgotten any sort of football. I'm gonna go. I'll start out low because you can work your way up, can't you? I'll go 5.
Five as well.
Tom, you're going to give him 6. Blakey, can you beat 6?
Yeah, I'll go 7.
Yeah, I'll go 8.
I'll let him try.
Okay, Tom, you've got 30 seconds, and at the end of the 30, when your time is up, you will hear.
He could have been killed.
So we're waiting for that. Okay, so I've got a pen in my hand. We're ready to go. Tom, you've got to try and name 8 of Europe's top 30 scorers last season. I'm going to try and tick them off as you go. Are you ready?
No.
Excellent. We're starting the time anyway. 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Haaland, Kane, Lewandowski, Vinicius Jr. I'll throw in there. Who else had a good year? Dybala, Messi. I'm such a mind blank. No, it's gone. That's only like 6, isn't it?
No, not even that.
Is it not?
Some of them aren't right.
No.
Been killed.
I'm having
Right,
such a
time's up. You got 3.
3.
3. You said 8. Blakey, do you think you can get your 7?
Yeah. So the 3.
You can say because he only got 3 and not like 6. you can have them because they are three of the obvious ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can you get 7?
Okay, so I think all right, yeah.
You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Remember, you are waiting for.
He could have been killed.
Ready?
All right. Yep.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right. So I'll go Kane, Haaland, Lewandowski. I'll go Osimhen. I will go. I will go. You've got everybody now. Benzema. I just need 2 more, don't I?
Mhm.
I'll just go Abraham
He could have been
and Mbappe.
Time is up. Your time is up. You did. I'll give you Mbappe. You did just sneak in, and you got onto 6, so you were 1 short. Excellent stuff. What a great start to the game. We failed. You could have had any of these players, okay? And this is in order from the top scorer in Europe to the 30th, okay? You could have had Haaland, Kane, Mbappe, Enner Valencia, Alexander Lacazette, Osimhen, Dovbyk, Jonathan David, Malcolm, Lewandowski, Diagne, Taremi, Icardi, Lautaro Martinez, Bergstaller, Openda, Nasame, Balogun, Fabio Borini, Quincy Promise, Ivan Toney, Karim Benzema, Kuipers from the Belgian League, Diallo, Salah, Xavi Simons, Cedric Eaton, Gonzalo Ramos, Wahi, and Ben Yedder. Any of those? There's some big names out there that you just forgot.
I mean,
I
we
thought-
just went to the top 4 just in the Premier League there, couldn't we?
I thought about
Yeah.
Balogun before I started, and I just instantly forgot it as soon as in.
Yeah, Lautaro Martinez. Yeah.
Yeah, the other one was the Premier League all-time, the easier ones, Premier League all-time top assisters. That was the easier one, but I thought we'd start with the hard one. But we'll do that.
I just kept trying to think of who plays up top for Bayern Munich, and I was just like,
But no, I mean that was the very first the
That was a practice, Jack, yeah?
No, it wasn't. That was the inaugural Fergie time.
He could have been killed.
So thank you very much for playing, boys, and thank you very much for joining us. Tom has frozen again in a very very unattractive position. I'm going to remove and then add again. Is he back? Is he still frozen? He's gone. He's had enough. There he is. he's had enough. Yeah. So no, thank you very much for joining me on the show, boys. Did we enjoy? Did we enjoy the very first game of Fergie time? Or we?
Yeah,
it
it's
was
just
do I
tricky
win?
to think
or
on the
not?
feet.
Yeah, Blakey, I'll let you have the win because you did get closer to your target, but you both failed.
I did enjoy it then. That's good.
I'll let you claim the win because you got more. But actually, to be fair, I don't know because you only got 3 on top of the 3 that Tom gave you, so I don't know. But I'll let you have
We
it.
say we won it as a team.
I'll say you drew. First one was a draw. Point each. I make the rules, all right? I make the rules of Fergie time. So
I got the harder 3. I'll say that.
you really did. You missed out so many players. But right. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, chaps, on the first episode of the new iteration of the podcast as Forwards United 2. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. Also, make sure you are checking out our charity of the month this month, which is Mind. In August, obviously, we will be donating ourselves for how many likes we get on our YouTube videos. So please make sure you're checking that out. It's really, really important to us. So, Blakey, Tom, thank you so much. Hopefully, we all get the results that we want on Sunday, and we're not all depressed come Monday morning once again.
Cheers, mate. Yeah.
Cheers, Jack. Thank you.
Cheers, boys.